Okay, a little bit more on Lumion and moving towards creating some renderings. So I've been busy since the last video. I've been putting in stuff, mostly. Creating some views and adding furniture, putting books on the bookshelves. I'm finding putting the books on the bookshelves has been quite cumbersome and frustrating. I'll show you. Actually, once I already have one of these on here, I go to Place, I go to Indoor, I go to Decoration. I'll pick some books here. I haven't used those yet. I pick them up. It should. Sorry about this. It's a little tricky doing this. Go on the bookshelf. And then I have to rotate it, which makes it a little tricky since it's right at eye level. I can also use this slider bar here. Okay, and then I can duplicate those. And it's a little bit of a trick to do that. I pick it, move, and I am going to hit the Alt key, and I am going to move this horizontally. Okay, so it's tedious. There's a way of grouping them, but I've had real frustration in getting it to work, so I gave up. Now I want to show you a really cool feature. I've placed some furniture here, or actually let me back up a little bit. Whoa, a little too much. Backing up. Yeah, I'm still struggling getting used to the viewing interface. So here, there's a Barcelona chair. I put it in bright red, but really this guy should really be in white or black. At least so it could be brown. So I'm going to pick this, and you can see I get a little slider up here, and all I have to do to change the color of the upholstery is slide it here. If I want to make it a little ivory, yeah, a little creamy ivory. How about that? Super easy. You can also do this with automobiles. Not that I'm going to include any automobiles in this particular model. So, let me pick up with some other work that I've done. I've been doing some very basic stuff to create some backgrounds. So, if I go, let me switch to View, and here's just a top view. I'm not going to use this for rendering, but I put in a bunch of trees. I'll show you how to do that, and then I put in some trees closer to this, and then I put in some buildings. So let me show you how that works. In this case, I just want to move them in a little bit closer. So I'm going to select this view, and I'm going to build. I'm going to work on it. And I'm going to instead switch to outdoor. And I'm going to move this in a little bit closer. Okay, so one side, the view will be towards these are apartment buildings across the street. And then out the back, I have some trees. I have some trees in the distance. And I'm going to go to Trees. I'm just going to delete these. Trash can. Delete this and delete this. But I like this. This is a group of trees. I'm just going to put them in as a background. So I'm going to go to Place, Trees. This little one is clusters of trees. And I am going to put in And I put in a few trees closer, so I'll just go to Trees, Broadleaf Trees, and I am going to put in, I think I marked it as a favorite, I hope I did. That's why it's good to have specify favorites. Let's see, a lot of trees. English oak, I like an English oak. Nice stately tree. So I'm going to put it out here. And I'm going to zoom in here because I feel a little bit like one of those trees looks like it's jammed against the building, and I don't want that. So let me go to Select, and I'm going to just move this tree away from the building. So a little cluster of trees nearby, and then these groups of trees work more like a background. So let's take a look at one of my views that will include this, which is this view towards the back. Yeah, that looks pretty darn good if I say so myself. And then here's another view where we see the trees in the distance. Okay, so now I want to start doing some renderings, and I'm going to do some test renderings. Probably I should have started doing these earlier, but I'm going to do a couple things that, so I'm going to render this. So I'm going to go here. There are a couple different styles. Render. Interior is really good when you're rendering interiors. There's sort of a set style. I'm going to hit this little thing, render photos. I'm going to do them one at a time. I could do them as a batch, but I'm going to do them one at a time. And I am going to just do, I could do an email one. I'll do a desktop. Those will run fast. And I generally prefer PNG files. And I am going to be, I'll call it Soul Chamber. I have a lot that I did from the previous one. Soul Chamber Working 1. Save. And it will render this. And I have to say, doing the voiceover, look how fast this rendering is taking place. And this is a high resolution rendering. And I have to admit, this looks really good. And I haven't done a lot of fussing over this. Now, the one thing that I wanted to do, which is a little bit of a distortion, is I really want to see the sun shining through this screen. It's doing it a little bit here, but I would like it to be even more extreme. So for that, I have to go back to Build. This is a little bit, it's a bit annoying, but I'm going to go here. I'm going to go to Weather. I am going to lower the sun height, which is probably unfair. This is more like the sun in the winter. Okay, and then I'm going to go back to my image. And I am going to render this again. Render. And I am going to Soul Chamber Working Low Sun. This isn't fair because probably the sun will never quite be this low coming out of the south. But let's see what we get. Some pretty cool shadows. Okay, I can also try other styles. Sometimes for an interior, I really like the way that came out, but I'm not stuck with this. There are other styles. I can do a watercolor rendering. You know, that's okay, but I really liked the detail I saw in the previous one. Let's take a look at another one. Sketch. Again, really not giving me the play of shade and shadow, so I think I'm going to stick with, I'm going to just try realistic. And I'm going to render that. See, the beauty of this is we're not fussing around with a lot of rendering settings. And I am going to call this realistic. I just want to see how these two differ from each other. Save. Render. There may not be a very big difference. I certainly like the quality of light that's coming in here, although I think I need to do some adjustments in Photoshop. So I'm just going to hit OK. All right, now I want to do another rendering, and this time it's for the terrace. And I'm going to do a quick rendering. Again, desktop. Oh, sun. And I am going to do terrace. It's not bad. It's a little bit flat. I mean, I might actually want to change the sun position for this, so I'm going to change it. And in this case, I'm going to make it much more overhead. And the sun coming. So a little bit of sunset. And I'm going to run this back here. Well, let's see how it renders. See, the light is kind of hitting the edge here. So I may want to do some other adjustments. So I do like the way it's illuminating that screen. Yeah, maybe I'll save that. So let's do a few more. Here we go. I'm going to change the sun again back to where it was. And back to photo. Don't know why it isn't saved with the photo. But let's go back. That sun's a little too low. Okay, a lot of trial and error. Give this a try. Back to the photo. Yeah, there's a nice afternoon dappled light. I'm not sure, but I'm going to render it. Well, it's certainly giving me a very atmospheric look. I kind of like it. Gosh, it's so fast. Okay. Well, I kind of like that rendering. I'm trying to think, what else should I do? I did this guy already. I'm thinking, let me hit render. Yeah, this is kind of like what I had before, but I do like this. This is really more what you get with a west exposure, but okay. And let's see, I haven't rendered this view. This is my least favorite view, but let's see how it renders. This really could use a person or something else in it. I don't know. It's a little empty, but let's render it. That's kind of dramatic too, with the way that sun is flaring. So you have to bear in mind that this program does daylighting incredibly well. And I recommend it for that. And if we get a chance, I'm going to do a building with both an interior and an exterior. This project is really only an interior. So I think that's really about it. I'm going to take a look at the renderings, and I am going to, they will be okay, and I am going to get two multiple ones to open. So, can't do multiples. Photoshop. Okay, that looks pretty good. I might do a little work in this. I do have to crop out, unfortunately, that little Lumion. Don't know if that's going to ruin the photo or not. And that's a little boring over in that corner, so I'm going to take that away. This would be a good place to put in some people. You can do it in Lumion. They don't look great. I'm going to hit check. I'm going to just go to Image and Auto Contrast. Yeah, it's a pretty good contrasting image. Okay, so I'm just going to, so this just got better. And let me go back and open this with Photoshop. Now, that looks really good too. I'm just going to crop a little bit here. And I'm also going to go to Image, Adjustments, and again, Auto Contrast. Yeah. I could do an adjustment of shadows and highlights. It's a little dark. Image, Adjustments, Shadows and Highlights. And pull up the shadows, drop the highlights a little bit so it's a little bit brighter. And I may do this for all the images. So let's make it 35 and 35. Yeah. Okay, let me go back to that. Image, Adjustments, Shadows, Highlights, and highlights. This pulls down the highlights. So it's a subtle adjustment, but it's one that's worth doing. Okay, let me go and let me take one more, and then I'm going to kind of wrap this up. Let's just take a look. I'm patting myself on the back. I'm pleased with the end results. It was a little messy getting here, but I got what I wanted. Let's see, just one more. Terrace. Let's open that. Yeah, again, I'm going to try. I have to crop out that logo and go to Image and Adjustments and Shadows and Highlights. That's a little extreme. I want to pull down the highlights. But maybe the shadows stay down. No. Okay. It's all about what you want. And also that if this is going to print, it's going to print darker. So I'm going to hit OK. I do like the way the sun is hitting the screen, so I feel pretty happy with that. I don't know what that is. Oh yeah, that's a little bit of a wall. Okay. So these are renderings. The total time on this to get from this to stuff like this took me about 2 hours of work in Lumion. Now, this was a good SketchUp model. I didn't over-furnish it. I could have gone longer. You have to decide, I put it in mostly to get a sense of being inhabited and a sense of scale. So it's a powerful tool, and it is all about the effect. And so I'm doing some things here. I can put the sun in any position that I want. It's not being super realistic, but it's a way of, creating an expression for your design. So that's about it for going over Lumion. I hope this was helpful. And there's lots of good answers to questions when you go online. All right, here we stop.